Marvel does charming very well. This was never going to fail. If this was setting out to charm our socks off, then it was never going to fail because that is what Marvel does. Better than, certainly, does laps around DC, but it knows how to make you love people. It knows how to make you to relate to its characters. I think it goes all the way back to Stan Lee, to be honest.
Yeah.
And she fits nicely, comfortably into that Spider-Man, lovable, everyday hero type person that Marvel excels at, in my opinion. This was, and yeah, the charm factor has turned up to 11 on this one for sure.
So for me, I mean, I truly do enjoy this show. I love it. I actually, I was a little sad that they kind of stepped away from the animation stuff that they did in the first episode and drew the opposite direction in this one, because I really want to see that ramp up more. But I love where the direction they're going. Some stuff that they sped up, typically I would hate they speed up, like basically the montage scene, because it just jumps so quickly to getting there. Yeah. But the reason that it made sense to me, which doesn't often make sense in other content productions, is that this is a teen movie. This is a teen action. These kids have already seen it in other shows. So there's not this whole, oh my gosh, what's going on? I don't understand what's happening. It's like, no. We live in this. Let's now just jump into figuring out how to work it, because we already have an inherent understanding, which gets implied and ironically was very subtly done. But it's there. It's explained between, from Avenger Con, which is still crazy that would exist in that world, because so many things offensive about it, especially the number of dead people that came out of that. But yeah, like with this episode, and I'm starting to enjoy what their actual underlying story is, which they keep saying, and this connects directly actually with Moon Knight, which is that necro world, that purple world that they keep floating into and popping out after you're like they did it in the first time that she activated her power and switched in, and it goes back to what the Hippo had said about the multi-layers of afterlife that exists.
Yeah.
And then we saw it again whenever they were talking about her grandmother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother that everybody hated. But like, it's so wild to like listen to the stories, because this is how it'd be spoken of, and then you're like, oh, like she followed she followed crystals to her father. Oh, she had this, and then of course the most important component of everything that was said that just was passed over so quickly. The power was already inside you. The thing is just opening up the gate. This was done so quickly. I'm like, wait, hold up. Oh, time out.
Yeah.
Drive right through that, because again, it goes back to, what does this mean? Is this mutant emphasis, or are we talking inhuman emphasis? Because the only people that have innate powers are Inhumans or mutants. Everybody else received it in some way, shape, or form, or you're a celestial or a god.
Well, it hasn't gone past lots of people.
Alien.
Say what?
Unless she's part alien. Remember, like they were like the aunties were talking about how like her grandma's
kill a person.
Yeah, and like she slept. Like I think I heard like the grandma had like different husbands, or like
killed somebody,
or what they perceived as different husbands, different lovers, which is very possible. But that means Kree blood runs in their family, which is what we're assuming, because the comics take the band laws.
Yeah. So in the comics, is she not inhuman? I believe she was inhuman in the comics.
I think she was. No. She received her powers from a mist in the comics. Her powers weren't innate; they were activated. So this one is kind of a little bit of a departure, even though it follows, ironically, still a lot of the same movies, the comic book plots. But yeah, like I know a lot of internet, but it was just something that typically that would be where there would be a full stop. But again, it goes back to the idea of, this is why it's important that this is actually a teen one and not an adult one, because it goes under the assumption of we live this, whether it's in movies or it's what they're seeing in real life. So I was just like, oh, okay, it's innate, and just go on. And also recognize with the kids because teenagers are stupid and they forget, they don't realize things until it's
Well,
way too late.
In the
Yeah, that's
comics,
true.
she kind of got her power when Black Bolt, it released the Terrigen, so she
Yeah,
could be
that's
a
what I
human.
was saying. Yeah. So it's very interesting to kind of see and knowing that it's a as a teen bopper, again it works. I mean, I was a little underwhelmed with the love story that was inevitably going to get pushed in. I it knew it was,
Well,
but
it's a part of the formula.
but I will give them this. I will give them this. They actually used a teen boy who actually made sense to be a teen boy. Because typically when you have that coming out the water scene, like the dudes are 20. Like that's full grown man muscle that they had. And this kid was just bird chested, tiny, but it would have been good looking as a teen to them
Oh,
because
yes.
I was like, way to maintain consistency and accuracy in trying to be authentic. Like authenticity is the name of the game that's on this. So I was just like,
Yes.
what? Like if
For
I had a
sure.
daughter, I'd be like, I feel like that would be the kid, and I'd be like, I don't know what it is that you're seeing, but again, is because completely different mindset. Also, I really felt protected. I wanted to be like, boy, you better go put your shirt back on. What you trying to do out here, all walking out the water slowly?
Oh, don't ruin her fun. Don't ruin her fun. She was great. It was just sweet. But as we all know, the romance was never going to eventuate because anything that when a good looking guy comes up to or a good looking girl comes up to you and immediately shows you a whole heap of interest, if it's too good to
Right.
be true,
Yeah.
It's
it ain't gonna
probably too
happen.
good to be
And so
true.
now we've seen at the end of the episode that he has another agenda. By
Yeah,
Introduced
Now-
to him, which again goes back to like, I think we're starting to get the underlying villain, but it's not coming into us heavy handed because so much of it has to do with her basically clearly the lineage, her ancestral lineage is going to be
Yeah.
one, and then how that affects everything else that relates along that line. And
Yeah.
what's interesting for me though is like, if, inhumans usually get their powers when they're exposed to Terrigen mist, but
Yeah.
right now we're not seeing that. So we're like, so is like the bracelet a bypass to the Terrigen mist or something?
We're gonna find out. I think we're
I
gonna
think that's what
find
the
out.
bandalas are, and probably whatever the inscriptions are that are on that. Again, another thing that they throw in, but it's again, I know people aren't missing it, but the way they're playing it out is so downplayed on literally every clue that actually mattered. Hey,
Yeah,
read the written stuff that's in Urdu or in Arabic that nobody's reading. Okay, cool. Hey, it's coming from inside you.
It'll
Okay,
build
cool.
up. It'll build up. It'll build up. Don't you
But that's
worry,
what I
though.
love. I like it for that. I actually enjoy it for that because of the fact it's like looking through the eyes of a kid, and kids are stupid. They're stupid, and so every time they pass over important stuff because it's stupid. Even the way the mom is talking, it comes off like the way the kid because it's so monotone. And I had to check because I was like, "Yo, is this woman like a good actress, or is she just like did they just put her in for it?" And I'm like, she's actually really good. She's got really good credits. She's actually a really good actress. Her monotoneness has to be almost how Kamala hears her mom.
Yeah.
Like it's just, oh, you're just talking and just talking and talking and talking.
That's a really good observation. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I was.
moms are like that.
I was fascinated by the fact that they start talking about the petition because that's pretty heavy for a teenage romantic comedy thing.
Yeah.
Like whoa, okay, let's dive into the deep end of history right there. I thought, that's
I'm not gonna lie. I needed to look up a little bit more on that because the partition of yeah. Which again, it goes back to authenticity. Like we're not gonna pretend that Pakistan has just always been Pakistan and then is there. No. You remember
that was
Bangladesh,
great.
India, Pakistan.
Oh yeah. I did see a couple of comments flying around on the internet saying someone said, if this woman is Indian, I'm not going to watch this show. You're like, because
real
those
talk?
two.
Real talk,
yeah.
I would have completely understood. Considering the level of beef, I would have completely 100% understood. Like, don't that would have been that's old school mid 2010s and past access where it's they're all brown, they're all Indian, so we'll just
They're
get
all
whoever
South
fits.
Asian.
Yeah, they're all South Asian, which again, another thing that they really did a good job in. Whenever a girl was being interrogated by what's his name, the investigator, and they mentioned, they were like, oh, are they Middle Eastern? Are they South Asian? And honestly, most people would have just put Pakistan as Middle East, and they could have gotten away with it again with lazy authenticity, with lazy inaccuracy to just drive the point. But they were like, no, South Asian, which is again another point to authenticity. I got to give the evil empire their credit for authenticity. If you're going to get your subjects and undermine their ability to not fight against you, provide them the stuff that they want. Pure unadulterated authenticity.
Well, they're going for that market. So
that's how you take over the world.
You got to get it right.
That's how you take over the world. How else? Don't do it by just pandering to one section.
So yeah, my only other comment from myself watching this whole thing, having said it goes down like a warm glass of milk and it's lovely to watch. Once it's over, I don't get giddy. I won't watch it again. But we've talked about this. We're not the target audience. We're not the ones they're after.
Yeah. Let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe.
Die. Oh, die.